Never before in all our history have these forces been so united against one candidate as they stand today. They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
The needs of working families and the middle class, not just the billionaire class. We know what's going on. We are paying attention.
Good morning, everybody. It is the end of a lot of corporations in Houston, that's for sure. Probably the end of a lot of small businesses, and definitely the end of at least 8 people, to the last count that I'm aware of as far as the death toll, and probably a lot more. We were supposed to get our first catastrophic hurricane, or catastrophic climate event in North America by 2020. And I was really expecting it to happen later, but we're ahead of schedule. And that's what Hurricane Harvey and Tropical Storm Harvey, the entire thing of it has been, is our first massive catastrophe. Katrina, similar, but this one you can't really look back and not really understand why we had it, why it happened. Screams of this is extreme weather because of climate change are going all around the internet, but only the internet. Mainstream media is completely silent, not even connecting the dots. Sadly, the Weather Channel has stopped running all of their correlations between the storm and climate change. They're not saying a damn word. They're just covering it like an Olympics or a war or a football game. And, we have to remember that we brought this on ourselves. And Houston and Texas, all of Texas, has been deregulated to the point where they really don't have the support they need to do what they need to do and take care of things there. Buildings have been put in zones that were flood zones. Homes put in flood zones. That's what happens when you let your government deregulate everything in the interest of profit and put human beings last. And that's what we're seeing. We're also seeing an amazing effort by the citizens, the 99%, to rally and save each other, because that's what human beings do when we're faced with survival. We forget about petty bullshit between each other. We forget about color. We forget about everything else, and we go, oh, shit, we need to help each other. And we generally do. I don't know why we lose that right afterwards. But it's also a great time for our government to force through legislation while we're dealing with a tragedy, 9/11, Patriot Act, a lot of other things. So Trump's taking advantage of that. He's also down there in a photo op right now with what's-her-ass in high heels. He's selling baseball hats, getting in the way. Marine One should dump his ass somewhere in the water and go pick up refugees and take them to safety, honestly. No one gives a fuck about Donald Trump or what happens to his ass at this point. So dump him in the fucking ocean, as far as I'm concerned. Good morning, everybody. I'm in a great mood. Not really. I'm doing my best with it. It's really difficult to move things in a positive way when you got a lot of stuff going on and you're watching a national tragedy unfold, and you're realizing like this is one of numerous tragedies that has occurred this year alone around the world. It just so happens that this one's much closer to home and possibly affecting people you even know. And there's very little I can do about it. I can donate money. I can encourage others to do so. But it's really frustrating knowing what should have happened is representatives that were actually giving a fuck about citizens were preparing for this and dealing with climate change and all that kind of stuff. And that hasn't happened. That's MSM denying climate, working to deny climate for decades, and still denying climate change as a factor today. That's criminal. That's genocidal. And I don't know how we hold those corporations and these individuals accountable. We're not even in a position to do so because we have to survive now. Like, this isn't going to be the last catastrophic event. This is the beginning. There will be many, many more on the way, possibly this year. Climate's not going to get better. We've made it worse. It's unbelievable where we are. Good morning, Andreas and Al and Jim and Stock and Melissa H. and Kat and Michael Stapleton. How you doing? Yes. So EPA chief says that science shouldn't dictate policy in America. What should? Penises? Because that seems to be what it is today. I don't know. Anyway, we've got some cool things going on. I'm trying to get out of my weird mood. It's just there is good stuff happening. It's just really hard to even give a shit about it right now. We're going to look at some pictures. I got Markus with us. Is Dennis still hiding? No, Dennis was in earlier, but you should see him. He's looking all spiffy. He's got his beard trimmed. Got haircut. He's got girlfriend. That's why. Anyway, let's bring Markus in here. Hang on. I'm just doing bad with the cuts. There we go. Morning, Markus. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, John. I'm fine, and Dennis is in a very good mood, and he is doing well. Though he will address some stuff he has to deal with in the near future, and he will come back as soon as he has solved all this. And he's enjoying his life as far as he can in a situation. But and I think I should send greetings from him to all of you, and we hope to see him back real soon.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good morning. And we also have with us Gloriann Fields, who's the digital director for The Political Revolution, or political-revolution.com. They're the ones that are doing the badass AMAs. We're going to talk to her in a little bit after I ramble on a little bit more about events going on that may or may not happen because of weirdness, and a little bit more on Harvey. We're going to watch a Democracy Now! Clip and a Vox clip just on the connection with climate change, because that's what we do. That's what we do. And who else here? Hey, Jupiter. I thought maybe Dennis was hanging out. Phil, Nicaea, Real Jingy. Do you see how this works, Markus? We talk about the Scorpions, and now Real Jingy wants to sing the Scorpions tunes all of a sudden.
Yes, and I would advise to take the green pill now, because it is not a good sign.
Nice. Yeah. All right. So, man. Events. Let's talk about events. We the People tomorrow. Michael Bracamontes. This guy is running. Like I said, let's frame this out here. I'm trying to frame out the event on our YouTubes. All these events are on the YouTube channel, Uphill Media. Michael Bracamontes is running for governor. He's a good guy. He's a lawyer, born and raised California, and he's young. He's progressive, and there are at least 4 candidates ahead of him. In terms of just, actually more than 4, in terms of just massive quantities of money. There are 30 candidates for governor running now, with another 12 or so on the way. That will. It's just ridiculous how many candidates for governor are running for California. And we're excited to talk to Michael, find out how he's going to separate himself from all these other candidates, including the big corporate Dems. There's some big Republican guys running. There's some big California people running. And the top California people, just if you drop down from the lieutenant governor who's running, right, who has Brown's blessings, is just ridiculous, name after name of ridiculous sums of money. Just huge. I'm a rich California white person. I donated a shit fuck of money to this person that I want to make governor. It's unbelievable. California is going to be a crazy ass place because, like, they are a nation in their own. And while they are moving forward sort of in a lot of progressive ways, in many aspects, they are also doing some things that are entirely hypocritical. And I'm excited to talk to Michael about what he would do as governor to fix these hypocritical things. Primary one I'm talking about is fracking, right? But anyway, we're going to go with that. Hey, Melissa. What's insane? What'd you just drop there, Jupiter Judy? Trump fire reached Germany as well. What Trump fire?
I don't know what he means.
I don't know.
Germany is still safe.
Germany is
No
still
need to be
safe.
worried.
Yeah. Thank God. Thank God. They have Merkel. They have a strong woman who knows how to bap around crazy men, mostly.
Yes, and good that you mentioned Merkel, because originally we intended to report about the German elections. We are only 1 month ahead right now, and guys, it is so boring. I guess it is so boring that you would wish it to have had for 2016, and there's really nothing to report about it. We are 4 weeks in front of our elections, and there's nothing happening. There is no programs coming. It is silent here. It is boring,
What fun is that? No, they're not going. Germans aren't going for the ratings. No. No. Oh well. Thank you. Oh, by the way, thank you, Jupiter Judy, for dropping the We the People link in there. And Melissa H, I see what you're saying about the crazy number of people. It is insane, right? Tony, how you doing? Good to see you. Joyce Sander, after listening to Tim Black rant, I told him, underneath where you can write, about this show, and we talk about infiltration and speak to many candidates. Yeah, I know Tim. Tim's a good guy. I'm hoping. Does Tim do interviews with candidates often? He should. I was thinking of reaching out to him and just seeing if he wanted to just connect the dots. We take the candidate and move on to the next show, and that's really how it should be. The independent networks need to just take all these candidates and just interview them, get them as much airtime as possible, because it's not going to happen on MSM unless they're being made fun of or challenged or berated or having the narrative spun on them to get their airtime, right? So I think that'd be. Thank you for mentioning the show, and he does, Kat. Good. I'm glad. I saw for a while there he was doing a lot with HA, and so I was like, stay away from that. Anyway, we're all hillbillies here in Cali, says Jim. Not the California I knew. When I worked in SoCal in LA, I certainly didn't see a lot of hillbillies. It was a lot of Starbucks drinking, SUV driving folks. That's what I saw. Nobody walks in LA unless you're working there, and then if you want to go eat anywhere, you walk from your work. You don't drive. Anyway. Bernie Sanders. This is the event we're hoping we can get. This is... Scott's going to be there, but here's what's going on. This is happening tomorrow. No, Thursday. Tomorrow's Michael Bracamonte's. Thursday is this. Scott's going to be there with the solo. But apparently the bookstore is... And I'm just going to say this, they're being kind of anti-Bernie, being kind of capitalist, greedy with the whole thing, because apparently they're offering the hard line as a sell to C-SPAN or something like that. I don't know that we're going to be allowed to stream it. I really don't know the situation. Neither does Scott. He's not sure. So I think we're going to try to stream it with the solo. We may not. I may just be pulling in a C-SPAN stream if they choose to broadcast it at the time it happens. C-SPAN has a tendency to say, oh, look, we're going to have Bernie Sanders at this time, and then they actually they record it, but they don't broadcast it. And then they'll move it and say, oh, we're going to show that tomorrow at 8 a.m. because we're C-SPAN, right? So maybe there'll be somebody else covering it. Maybe we'll get lucky and Scott will be able to broadcast. The thing is, there's an event happening after this called the Afterburn. There's some important people going to be at that. Scott's going to be at that. Bernie might even be at that. I'm not really sure. I got to get all the details from Scott. But it's got some important people in Iowa talking about politics and things that are going on. And we're really focused there because it is a battleground state, really deep in enemy territory there. And so I'll let you know more as I find out and talk to Scott. But I'm hoping we're able to do this event. We'll at least have the Afterburn part with those folks. So join us for that. You're selling the book at your shop, Melissa? Wonderful. We should drop your address and information in there for anybody that's in your neck of the woods to go to your shop, because I'm always bashing print books, and I apologize because you have a bookstore. So it soon may be where this country falls to the point of disrepair where those books are very important. So go to Melissa's store. I just want to run this video from Vox. And I think what I'm going to do, so that I don't talk too much climate all the time, we have Gloriann Fields just sitting here waiting. We're going to bring her on and talk about what's going on with AMAs and people, and then we'll come back to some other things. There's just too much stuff to talk about with Harvey and climate, and some of it's actually kind of humorous. Joel Osteen, one of my favorite pieces of just ooze. He's just a piece of ooze. I don't know what else to call him. It's just gross. It's like some crap you found at the bottom of your shoe. Ew, that's a Osteen. You know? Anyway, let's listen to Vox talk about the connection between extreme weather, Hurricane Harvey, Tropical Storm Harvey, more than 2 feet of rain dropped in Houston. That's ridiculous. There is a reason. It's climate change.
Whenever we see a catastrophic storm like Hurricane Harvey,
30 inches of rain ahead.
we have to ask if it has anything to do with man-made climate change.
Could climate change be fueling the history-making nature of this storm?
We know that humanity's carbon footprint has shifted the baseline conditions of the climate, the context in which every weather event takes place. But trying to isolate the human influence from everything else that's going on can be really hard, especially for hurricanes, or what scientists call tropical cyclones. They're super complex, and the quality of the historical data we have for them isn't great. We do have physics, though. Hurricanes are driven by the transfer of heat from the sea to the air through evaporation. The storm's maximum possible wind speed, or its potential intensity, depends in part on how warm the ocean is. And of course, we're warming the ocean. So researchers expect intense tropical cyclones to become more frequent if we continue to warm the planet.
That's one place I think you find a very strong consensus among scientists who study the connection between hurricanes and climate, that the frequency of high-end events will probably go up.
And that shows up in climate models. This is from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. It summarizes the computer model results for tropical cyclones near the end of the century compared to today. The first bar represents the total number of tropical cyclones globally. That's projected to go down a bit. But the second bar represents the frequency of the most intense storms, categories 4 and 5. And the models show those increasing. And that's bad news because those are the storms that cause the most damage and the biggest loss of life. Now, when they try to look at specific regions, it gets really messy. In the North Atlantic, for example, the models show category 4 and 5 storms may be increasing by 200% or maybe decreasing by 100%. So yeah, the resolution of their simulations just isn't fine enough yet to give us good regional projections, even if they expect more intense storms globally. But there's another really clear, consistent result here. This fourth bar, it represents the amount of rain that hurricanes will bring, and that's going up, not just for our Atlantic coast, but for the Pacific coast of North America, the Western Pacific, the South Pacific, and the Indian Ocean, everywhere. The hurricanes of the future will be wetter, so coastal cities will face freshwater flooding from the sky, paired with storm surge from the sea, which is higher now because we're also causing sea levels to rise. And that trend of wetter storms isn't just for hurricanes. Heavy precipitation events from other types of storms have been increasing in the US and should continue to increase across the country. Even in places that might see less rain over the whole year, they'll get more days with really heavy precipitation. This comes down to basic physics too. Warmer air can take up more water before it dumps it back down on us. All of this means global warming worsens floods like the kind that hit Houston. But it's not our destiny to hurt ourselves like this. It depends on what we choose to do now. We could rethink our infrastructure and regulations to minimize the damage. But unless we also start cutting our carbon emissions and shifting the world to clean energy, it's just gonna get worse.
That about covers it. I mean, seriously, there's some data. There's no way we're going to solve this problem with the current government anywhere. We got a lot of repealing and replacing to do nationally and globally, really, to get our governments really working towards saving the planet. And my fear is that it's going to get so bad so fast and put us in a survival situation so quickly that our ability to make these changes will be drastically diminished. And that's why we should have started 40 fucking years ago. But hey, MSM was too busy making money off lying, and Exxon was too busy making money off denying that they even did the studies in the first place. So, yeah. And Exxon made a lot of money off 9/11 and a lot of money off Katrina and a lot of money off every war that they've been involved in. I mean, Exxon makes a lot of money off this stuff, so they're excited about these tragedies, right? It's going to take a lot of fuel, a lot of stuff to keep this catastrophe recovery going, right? Got to rebuild all those things, all that natural resources, all that oil and gas to rebuild all this shit. Yay! Yeah. Anyway, yeah, same as it ever was. Jilly loved to stock post or quoting stock post. Yeah, Michael Stapleton. Corps are counting on humans to be stuck like deer in headlights. Exactly, and many are. Many are. All right, let's talk about something a little bit more happy. I didn't even mention the cover card. That cover card was pretty. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. There were some other ones I could have picked, but one of them was actually fake. So you wouldn't know, because it looks as realistic as all the other pictures we got right now. Anyway, let's talk to Gloriann Fields, because she's been so patient and waiting here and just sitting there. And
Hi.
Gloriann, how are you? Thank you.
I'm great. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. So you guys, you guys do Reddit, and I'm kind of an older guy who doesn't do Reddit, but it's a very important place, and there's a lot of chat that goes on there, and you've had several AMAs now for progressive candidates. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give a little bit of background for anyone who's not familiar. Reddit is a community forum and a news aggregator, and we have a community of about 65,000 people, and the moderators and volunteers that we have working in the background to ultimately, raise awareness for these grassroots candidates and elect and help them get elected across the nation on every level of government. And there's elections happening every day. There's an election today. In Phoenix,
really,
and Tuscan, both in Arizona, and there's also one in Florida. Elections, but anyways, the Ask Me Anything on Reddit is an avenue, to get exposure to these candidates. They're very popular. Ours vary in exposure, but I think our biggest one within the last month was Paula Swearingen. And hers got a lot of attention, so that was a really great opportunity for her. And all it is it's currently it's a text-based medium. They go onto the subreddit, and the candidate actually, for a period of time, you can go onto the subreddit and ask literally anything. We try to engage them in policy questions that helps them reflect upon their policy and connect with constituents. But, we get silly questions too. So that's really it. We actually are having one right now with Christine Pellegrino.
Oh, really?
Who was, she was a Bernie endorsed candidate for the New York State Assembly District 9, but she actually got elected. So she's a victory story for the, she's an assemblywoman. So,
wow.
So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing, and we're trying to move it into the next phase with our most recent project, Paul Rev Live, which is, we're going to be working with you actually to try and get these into a video format and even increase engagement even more with these. So,
awesome.
So yeah, that's my spiel. Thank you.
Thank you. I dropped all of the links. There's a bunch of links for Paul Rev or Political Revolution in the description, everybody, to all the different places they've got. They've got just all sorts of social media entities going on there. So connect up with them, join in. There's even a volunteer link if you want to help them, a Slack. You put it all in there, didn't you? Just, yeah.
Yep.
So thank you. That's awesome. And a little bit more on the AMAs. When you said, I didn't even realize it was called Ask Me Anything, honestly. I had no idea.
Oh, really?
No. Makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
Do our candidates, are they bound? Do they answer the tough questions? I mean, they kind of select. It seems to me like they get to pick and choose, right?
Yeah, we don't really curate the questions for them. They it's up to their discretion. But that's also a good, that's another good thing that the audience can, kind of detect. And of course, it behooves the candidate to be even more engaged. And we're increasing our candidate before the AMA, and kind of, because some of it is just some of these candidates haven't engaged on this forum before.
Right.
So we really try and get them as comfortable as we can, and so they understand the forum and what to expect. But yeah, it varies.
Nice. Yeah, and we are working on the on bridging this with the video, because we do a lot of well, you know what we do with engagement broadcasting, but you guys handle a lot more in-depth questioning, and there's it's going to be a different kind of conversation than what we have on We the People, and I'm excited about that, because there's always the continued chat that's going on, right? I mean, regardless of a candidate answering question, there's a bunch of people in there just having a conversation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very, it's a very good breakdown if you haven't been involved in one, to kind of see on the candidates' questions, reflecting on their experience, people who are living in the constituency. So yeah, it's really, really interesting. I actually, I'll post a link to the Christine one in the YouTube chat so people can check that out.
Great. So she's not running anymore. She's just doing this so that she can get to know people, just to have some exposure. Is that why?
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, she actually got elected, so that's a good thing for people to ask her about. She's a success story. How did that happen? How did people resonate with your message? At least that's the kind of questions I'd be asking.
Absolutely, right. I mean, good for other people that are looking to run to come in and, hey, what worked? You ask her questions like that, right? Yeah. Have you had any established Democratic candidates come on? I'm interested to know if any of the older or incumbent established Democrat candidates have done any AMAs, or if you've reached out to any of them, or if you're mostly handling young progressive groups or young progressive candidates.
I'm trying to think. We had Rokanna.
No, well, I mean, that is more of a progressive, but that's cool.
Yeah, he's more progressive. So not really.
That's
we
all right.
focus a lot on the. I mean, well, we're Dem Party friendly. Our philosophy is that we have to work within it as a vessel, but we just tend to attract the more, grassroots candidates, because that's our main mission. Because they don't have the money. So.
Right. Well, awesome. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to our project together. And thank you for everything you've been doing, you guys. For those of you who don't know, Eddie Wants Coffee, who was in our Slack, for BTV Slack, is a part of this group. And because he was into Reddit, he was always helping us with Reddit before. So that's how we got connected, and it's nice to be connected with you guys now. So thank you so much, Gloria.
Yeah. Thank you, Don. It's great. It's always great to talk.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. Just another entity in the revolution to bring down our corporate overlords, and we need all of this. It's we have the internet, right? We don't have mainstream media. We don't have a cable. We have the internet. That's it. And so every group that is functioning there, working towards a progressive end, counts and matters, and we have to support each other in that end. So excited to work with that group, and it's going to be interesting bridging the engagement broadcast process with the Reddit AMA process, because the AMA allows for a lot more verbose conversation and discussion and in-depth answers, and we can do that too. It's just not going to be in text. So we've been talking about the technical issues of how do we do that? Are we going to, speech to text? We got to have somebody take down, because the candidate will be able to expand on that stuff a lot faster than their fingers. So should be fun to try to bridge those two worlds. We want both. We want the video, verbal, and the text, because what is written down is as important, because really somebody can go back and look at these answers later, right, and get to know the candidate more. If you're not a video type person, you want to read in depth what they have to say, that's where you would go, and we don't provide that. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. I'm excited. Yeah. All right. So moving into more stuff. Markus, I gotta say, I keep forgetting you dropped this in and showed this to me the other day about and Glow, if you don't want to hang out, you can cruise, or if you want to stay in, that's fine. And if you want to chime in on stuff, you're welcome to interrupt our asses anytime.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be watching. Thanks, John.
Okay,
All right, great. Awesome.
That's cool.
The German artist who does their Spiegel covers offered his artwork, right? I keep
Yes,
forgetting
exactly.
this.
And what was his name again?
I don't know.
I had it on my Facebook.
It's very cool though. I keep forgetting. Like, I got to remember to go there and grab one for a cover, because it's just great stuff.
all the Spiegel covers you see in the back at in the studio behind John, they are also from this artist, and I think it is very cool that he says he wants to support those who are fighting against Trump, and I'm sorry, not this one, the other two.
No, not that one. Well, yeah, you can tell the difference. This is the
yes. There is the Trump without a face, and
His
only the mouth.
Trump golfing. Right?
Yeah, Trump golfing, and the other one with the head of Lady Liberty.
This was the original cover that came out that everybody was like freaking their shit about.
Yeah, and he was so fucking right.
Yeah, this is mild compared. It's
Mild.
Like, this is
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
And it
And,
still makes me think of Kathy Griffith and her thing, and I'm like, again. But anyway, great artwork.
I think it is very creative, and I think it is good that the Spiegel gives this artist a platform. This week there came another new German news magazine with a completely dumb cover, and it showed Trump in the U.S. flag and doing the Hitler salute, and this was uninspired and dumb, and this is what I am used coming from the Polish and Turkish right-wing press, and and I prefer absolutely the artist's work of what you see on the Spiegel.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Reminds me of the New Yorker. Just quality stuff. Just fighting against Trump is pro-life. I'd call it pro-choice, the choice of survival. But I get where you're going there. What do I have about my cards? I had other stuff in here. I had other stuff beside the hurricane stuff, but there is more to talk about on that. Hang on, you don't even know what I'm looking at. I want to run this Democracy Now! piece, just talking about this is the new normal, how climate change is fueling massive storms. I know we just watched another one, but I kind of want to pound it home today because it's important. So let me run that. I told you we weren't done with Harvey. Let me show. I want to show you some pictures. Let me show you this. I had these lined up just to get a concept. One of these two pictures is fake. Here's one. Here's another one. This one. All right. That one's real. This one, people thought was real. This was going around the internet a lot, but it was actually created by a guy before Hurricane Harvey in an effort to create a situation that he thought would look like what would happen in a catastrophic flood of Houston. And he made this to bring awareness to climate change. And honestly, if you had seen this picture first, and somebody had shown you a picture of the airport like they did to me, I didn't even think twice. Like, doesn't surprise me, although they built the airport on low ground. And then, this is real. This picture was floated around the internet, and it's how they got these people out of this place. I swear to God, if my grandmother were in there, first of all, if I left my grandmother in a nursing home, in Houston, I'd be ashamed of myself. But, I mean, we're talking a lot of people that don't even have the means to do anything else. That's the problem. People are running around saying, get out, go do this, you should have left, evacuate, and we're talking about poor folks that don't have any means of doing so. And no pre-planning on this. But really, if one of my relatives, if I'd found out one of my relatives was left like this, I'd be on a mission to find some people and bring them to justice my way. And I hope the citizens of Texas rise up and squish the Republican shitbags that have turned their state into a deregulated floodplain with poisonous air from all the goddamn refineries and fracking. Because that's basically what they got. It's basically what they got. That's horrific. It's absolutely horrific and sad that that would even be allowed to happen. We could have avoided this. We could have avoided this. Oh, it's not making noise. Hang on. There we go.
As Renee Feltz, a Houston native. Renee?
Thanks, Amy. We continue to look at the catastrophic storm that's hitting Houston, Texas, the nation's fourth largest city. The crisis began on Friday when Hurricane Harvey made landfall in Rockport, Texas. It was the most powerful hurricane to hit the state in more than 50 years. But much of the damage has been caused not by the wind or tides, but by the massive rainfall. And some parts of Texas have already received 30 inches of rain and could top 50 inches.
We're joined now from San Diego, California, by David Helvarg, Executive Director of Blue Frontier, an ocean conservation organization, author of several books, including Rescue Warriors, the U.S. Coast Guard, America's Forgotten Heroes. Can you talk about the connection between the hurricane that we're seeing in Texas right now, Hurricane Harvey, which is downgraded to a tropical storm but causing massive damage, and this issue of climate change, global warming?
Sure, Amy, Renee. First, my thoughts and agnostic prayers to the folks in Houston, Southeast Texas, where, again, we're seeing a natural disaster turn into human catastrophe by choices we make in terms of our energy choices, the pollutants we burn for energy and put into the atmosphere, as well as how we develop the coast and zoning choices. I mean, Houston's essentially a zoning-free zone, and so historic floodplains have been developed. That's where Rice University, the Texas Medical Center, a lot of neighborhoods built up in these flood zones that are going to become more waterlogged as we see sea level rise in certain areas like the Texas and Louisiana coast, South Florida, the tidelands of Virginia. You're projecting now 3 to 6 feet or more of sea level rise in this century. Maybe it's only been 10 inches to date. People are going to go, well, what's 10 inches? But could be the difference between flood waters on your porch and in your living room. But it's not just the tidal surge and sea level rise. It's what we're seeing, these rain events. With the warming ocean and atmosphere, you have more moisture in the atmosphere, which rains out more intensive pulses of rain. These rain events that we see massive flooding, even disconnected with hurricanes and storms. So last year, for example, Baton Rouge had massive rain pulses and storms. When rain comes down so torrentially, the ground can't absorb it. It backs up, and you had a flooding event right there in Houston last year that the Houston Flood Control District said was a 1 in 10,000 year rain event. Well, it's a year later, and you're having another one. So clearly what we're seeing, I mean, I remember back in 2000, I was with a scientist from the NASA Ames laboratory at Columbia, was touring me through Lower Manhattan with some folks from small island nations, Kiribati and the Marshalls, explaining the big 1993 nor'easter. And she said that, you know, 1 in a century storms like that are now going to become decadal, happen every decade or more frequently. And since then, I was down at Katrina, we had Sandy, now we have this hurricane. We're seeing the impacts. We're back in the 1990s. There would be maybe 4 or 5 multi-billion-dollar extreme weather events every year. NOAA is now recording 20 and 30 multi-million-dollar weather events happening in this country, and just this country alone. So that you're seeing, luckily with Katrina, the storms are different, the nature of the storms. Katrina, you had huge casualties, over 1,800 killed. I think we'll see less, luckily, less casualties because of the slow and persistent rate of this storm, but probably much more damage. This is going to be a $100 billion plus storm. And, not to, a lot of times you say, well, you're taking advantage of people in distress by talking about the causes of why they're in distress. The reality is that when you have two 10,000-year rain events in 2 years, this is the new normal. This is the new reality. And the challenge is how we address it, how rapidly we're going to transition from fossil fuels to clean energy. And the approaches are very different. I mean, Texas and North Carolina are in denial. I think the new model now is that in places like Florida and Texas and Washington, D.C., you have denial in the capital and frantic rescue activity and response on the ground and by the water. Other places like California, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, we actually beginning to plan to build for coastal resiliency, to restore natural systems that can help help protect from coastal flooding, and also begin to plan our zoning, begin to adapt to new maps and the best available science that tell us where the flooding and the sea level rise is going to impact us.
Well,
and
David,
it's possible.
Let me jump in there and ask you, speaking of science and speaking a little bit of infrastructure, just 2 weeks ago, President Trump signed an executive order to revoke Obama-era standards that would require federal infrastructure projects like hospitals to factor in scientific projections for the effects of climate change, like increased flooding and rising sea levels. This was opposed by the American Petroleum Institute and the National Association of Home Builders, who said the standards would increase their cost. But Trump announced the rollback during a now famous press conference in the lobby of Trump Tower that was largely overshadowed by his remarks defending the white supremacist protests behind the violent rallies in Charlottesville, Virginia. What's interesting about Obama's order that Trump rolled back is that it marked the first time federal government took sea level rise projections into account instead of relying only on historical data. It was also a rare climate change policy that was praised by both conservative and progressive groups. And I want to ask you about this point on infrastructure as Houston deals with the release of water from two of its aging reservoirs right now this morning, that water going down towards Buffalo Bayou. And this question about infrastructure being built to withstand climate change, or this idea that perhaps people who are more climate deniers are saying is, let's just deal with the disaster when it arrives, and that's what we have on our hands in Houston. Can you talk about this issue of infrastructure and climate change?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, we know we're going to spend $1 trillion responding to these serial disasters that we've seen and documented are happening. And the choice is, do we spend it to build a more resilient infrastructure, start counting natural shorelines and the restoration of urban wetlands and seagrass meadows as part of our infrastructure investment? Do we invest in upgrading our wastewater treatment plants? And the reality is it's already happening, but it's happening piecemeal. In South Florida, Miami Beach is investing $400 million to raise their sidewalks and install water pumps. In Tampa, St. Pete, which could be the next site of one of these mega disasters, they're investing $300 million upgrading their wastewater treatment plants because they keep flooding with every time there's saltwater intrusion. Every storm takes out their plants because of sea level rise. And even in Palm Beach, where Trump has Mar-a-Lago and his Wilbur Ross, his billionaire secretary of commerce, has one of his mansions. The city manager's already put $150 million into water pumps. So we're already investing in infrastructure in response to sea level rise and climate change, but we're clearly not doing it in a planned and coherent manner like we do in California. So we're having to do it from the bottom up. I mean, it's not a coincidence. Everywhere I've gone in the world, you sort of see that anti-democratic regimes that use racism and tribalism to advance their power also tend to be very much in denial of environmental values. And so, our challenge is to move forward with what I call the triple bottom line. I mean, other people call it this, where we have to link our environmental challenges with our economy and with equity. We have to start reinvesting a rapid transition off fossil fuels, the fastest job growth in the energy sectors in wind and solar. We have to find ways that we...
David, Just
convert
before we
to
go,
a better
I hate
world.
to interrupt, but I wanted to ask you
Sure,
about
Amy.
this. Hurricane Harvey's arrival came as Bloomberg News reported that the FEMA director, Brock Long, who just held a news conference on Friday, was pushing for an overhaul of disaster relief so that states, cities and homeowners bear more of the costs. And I also wanted to ask you very briefly to explain how the petrochemical industry has exploited past natural disasters to its benefit. For example, releasing toxic chemicals that are otherwise too expensive to get rid of.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a history of during storms and other disasters when people aren't watching, industry has released hazardous waste into the flood waters, essentially to save money. This is just like offshore. The shipping industry will release oily waste into the ocean to save money, and so you have to have really close monitoring at times like this. Luckily, right now, the Coast Guard, along with having its SAR search and rescue helicopters in the air and swift boat rescue teams on the water, I'm sure they also have the strike team out of Mobile, Alabama, that's looking at the pollution. As was said earlier, I mean, the Houston Ship Channel is part of Cancer Alley. It's a huge complex of petrochemical facilities, and it's bizarre that they had a voluntary shutdown. That should have been mandated. And there's a good chance that either accidentally or intentionally, you're going to see a pollution release, large-scale pollution release, because of where this is located. You're certainly going to see a claim of disruption of production, and they're going to jack up gasoline prices. That's just what they do.
Well, David Helvarg, we want to thank you for being with us, Executive Director of Blue Frontier, an ocean conservation organization. He's speaking to us from San Diego, California. When we come back, we're going to talk to people in Texas about what happens to undocumented immigrants in times like this. This is...
Well, we're not going to listen to that because we know that the mayor of Houston made it very clear that he was not going to arrest anybody or check anybody's papers. He was more interested in saving people's lives because we're all human beings. So at least the mayor of Houston has his shit together and knows what to do there. However, ICE left 50 immigrants that they were trying to deport stranded at a bus because they didn't have the balls, the courage, the spine, the human decency to rescue them. They just got themselves out. If we had a Nuremberg trials for American war criminals, which we should, I want every badge-wearing ass-fucking ICE lined up against the wall and handed some kind of a sentence of judgment. I don't care what it is. Maybe they have to spend the rest of their lives burying the dead. Maybe they have to spend the rest of their lives cleaning fucking shithole toilets. I don't know. But anybody who's willing to put on a badge for ICE is a despicable piece of shit and should be shamed and branded as such. I can't fucking imagine any human being wanting to do that job. And I hope to God we find these mentally fucked human beings and remove them from our society. Maybe they can be reformed, but they definitely need to be put in a building and separated from us. It's just unfucking believable that any human being would think that's okay to do to another human being. Unfucking believable. And there's stories all over the place. I see stocks saying they didn't just leave them. You know what? The whole fact that ICE has immigrants in the fucking first place, and the whole fact that Border Patrol was actually checking people's fucking papers as they were trying to flee. That's just American Nazis. American fucking Nazis. What it is. If you're willing to wear that badge and do that work, you're a fucking shit-stained Nazi. It's really all you are. I don't have anything, you know. And they were talking about pollution and flooding, and it's true. There's another article from Democracy Now! About it, that there's noxious fumes in the air. That air isn't going anywhere, right? It's just kind of sitting under that dome of pressure, of clouds, and people are getting sick. The water is polluted, the ground's polluted, the air is polluted. They don't have food. They got to drink Nestle fucking bottled water if they could find it. It's It's almost frightening to think that if we have these cycles over the next couple of years, what will be left of the American Midwest and coasts? You know, we may not go as fast as Pompeii. We may not go as fast as Sodom and Gomorrah. We may not go as fast as some of the other ancient civilizations that got wiped out, but we're definitely trying, aren't we? Can we piss off Mother Nature enough to wipe out our fucking selves? How fast can we do it? We're number one. Seems like what we're working on here. I don't know. By the way, I wanted to back up to something Jilly Love said that I thought was perfect. Now we're back up. Lost connection. Sorry, guys. There was some buffering. But it looks like we just came back up. They're going to, yeah, Lynn, they're going to get all sorts of things. Here's my what I was starting to say before we lost internet connection. I don't know when that happened. Comcast has been up and down. We lost power yesterday twice for no reason. Could be heat. We've had 100-plus days here, or 100 degrees last couple of days. With an orange sky. I can't wait to show you my on-fire orange sky. That's very apocalyptic. Saw a goddamn quote from some Christian fuck. Forgive me, I'm having a problem with religious people. Religious fucking hypocrites like Joel Osteen, right? Guy who rakes in $77 million goddamn dollars tax-free every fucking year from idiot supporters who donate and praise Jesus in his name. Quite frankly, natural selection right there. Sorry. Asshole wouldn't open his church until he got slammed, shamed on the internet. The power of prayer doesn't stand a fucking chance against the power of social media shaming. Just going to tell you right there.
Not only his church, it is not a church, it is a mega dome,
right,
for 16,000 people.
Yes.
And
yes.
he keeps it closed. So much about Christianity and people who call themselves to be Christians.
Absolutely.
Not all, but you know.
Right. It's used to hold the Houston Rockets. That's how rich this fucking asswipe is. That's an old sports stadium turned into a home for indoctrinated fools that give their money over to a big asshole who doesn't give a fuck about any of them while preaching the words of Jesus. Well, the internet just taught him what Jesus would do. Is open your fucking doors. But that's not even my favorite. And by the way, I love this. I'm sorry, I come into chat. Mark Hill, yo, John, what's happened in Texas? Just woke up after night shift. Well, this has been going on for a few days, so Texas is underwater. Not Texas, but Houston and the coast is underwater right there. They're not doing well. It's a giant natural catastrophe in North America, the first one that we've had that you can't deny has to do with climate change, Katrina. This is like the 1,000-year flood in 12 years, right? So we've had a bunch of those. I want those churches to pay taxes so bad. I want fucking Catholic Church to pay taxes so bad. I want every goddamn church to pay their fucking taxes. Just a business. You're just in the business of bullshit. You sell salvation, which is bullshit, to people. You sell peace of mind, which is bullshit, to people. Forgive me, everybody out there who enjoys their beliefs. Enjoy your beliefs. And if you're willing to pay out for your beliefs, have a good time. All right? But churches need to be taxed on that because they're just making a profit off of your need to have a belief. What Jilly Love said, which was I was going to bring up, was, and this is based on a statement about Bernie Sanders. Somebody in the audience said, it was a guy on the Democracy Now! Said, my agnostic prayers. It's like, whatever. You know what? Just call it your thoughts. Bernie Sanders said, my thoughts are with the people of Houston because he's thinking about them because that's what fucking people do when they use their brains and they think about facts and science, not belief. Right? And Jilly Love said, I believe in the power of intention of thought. It's not a direct quote. And that's science. And that's absolutely fucking true. The power of prayer isn't that you're asking your imaginary bullshit God for help. It's that you are thinking about what's going on. And when a bunch of human beings, and this has been proven by scientific experiments, when a bunch of human beings think about the same shit, we're talking a bunch of human beings, it actually has an effect. It's not like they're lifting airplanes off the ground or doing shit like that, shooting laser beams. It actually has an effect that can be seen, felt, right? So when a bunch of people get together and focus the power of intention, which has been scientifically documented, we're still trying to figure it all out, all right? But we know it exists. That's what they're talking about with prayer. But to say, somebody said Bernie Sanders didn't offer his prayers, only his thoughts. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I just, really? So to everybody that says you have to offer your power of prayer, or I offer my thoughts and my prayers, you're being redundant. I offer my thoughts because I'm thinking about Houston and I'm thinking about the human beings in the flood. Praying to some dumb fuck imaginary God ain't going to do shit. But your thoughts about those people have power. And social media has a lot more power over those thoughts, Joel Osteen, just in case you hadn't learned that lesson already. God. Jesus. And it's okay to believe in stuff because you want to feel better. I believe in ancient aliens. I believe that, I'll tell you, I'll be honest. I believe that when you die, you just die. But secretly, I believe that my belief is full of shit. Right? So that's how I work it out in my mind. Does that make sense, Marcus?
Yes, it is BS, you know? BS, belief system, bullshit.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that when I die...
It could be right. It could be right. It could be completely crap, you know? Who knows? Who fucking knows?
I'm going to live my life believing that when I die, it's over and that's it. But there's a little piece in me that says, but wouldn't it be really fucking awesome if it did go on? But I'm not going to base my existence on hoping for that.
and maybe we are only changing the dimensions. Who knows?
Right.
This is why it's only belief, and nobody can prove anything. So let's stick for the real things. Let's stick for the facts. You know.
There you go. I believe in Mothman. Redneck economics.
Oh, the Mothman. Yes, the Mothman. Oh yeah.
Yes. I believe in the Mothman too. We give religions more than $82.5 billion a year. Wow. Osteen makes $77 million, the Lakewood Church, which they lied to. They claimed that the church was flooded. Pictures showed that was bullshit. I mean, how much more of an oil slick can you get? I lie, I take money from people, I convince them they need to believe in an imaginary person, and then when they need help, after telling them all this time how much like Jesus they need to be, I act like a fucking asshole. I just hope that all of these indoctrinated fools wake up and stop handing Joel money. That's really the way to stop Joel. Stop giving him money. Just like all of our representatives that don't do any work for us. Stop electing them. Stop giving them money. I just want to show you this because it's a hilarious picture. I realize he's praying, but he really looks like he's doing something else. I don't know.
In the first moment, I thought it was the young Richard Gere.
Oh, gosh. That's hilarious. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. Listen. Personally, I'm having a hard time with a lot of stuff. I'm just... the enormity of what's happening in Houston, Louisiana, all of that area, the enormity of what it means in terms of climate change, of where we're at and where we're going to be, scares the fuck out of me. And there's other stuff in the news that's just as frightening. We're going to look at some of that stuff. I got to get to it. I don't even have the good stuff open. Jeez, I did really bad. That was just another thing. Hang on. Why didn't I open it? So I did a bad job with my card today. I didn't even open all the right things. I had a nice, this is how you speak to your reps, and now I can't even find it. Oh, hang on. There we go. Good news. Let's just move on to ground game for a second, because I actually have some good news. While this is all going on, we're in the middle of fighting a battle with corrupt politicians, right? We've got a catastrophe to deal with, and we also have corrupt politicians to deal with. This, I wasn't even aware of this. I think this is kind of cool. We won't recognize the benefits of this until later. All right. Illinois becomes the 10th state to enact automatic voter registration law. Less than 3 years ago, there were a total of 0 states. 0. That's a pretty big change. All right. That means 1/5 of voters will be registered automatically, and won't be fucked with, at least in that regard. And that's important. We have, I think that's here in Oregon too. It's very easy. It comes in. What
do you mean with 1/5?
Well, 50 states, 10 states. So.
Oh, okay. Statewise. Okay. Yeah.
1/5 of the states. That's all.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. I forgot to open up all of these links here, so I'm like, shit. I was so distracted. I want you to listen to this guy. For all of the ranting that I do, which is bad, about cops, and I'm very, when I talk about cops, I just get angry, and I'm not really good at, like, if I were in front of a cop or in front of a public official and was trying to explain myself or be articulate, I would be bad, because I would just be a raging, spitting ape. I'm just too angry. This guy, I don't even know where this is. Brother fearlessly confronts Euclid, Ohio. So Euclid, Ohio police chief and mayor for the death of Luke Stewart. I don't want this to become violent, but it will. And I'm not even familiar with the case, so I'm sorry. This was shown to me, and the way this guy addresses this public servant is exactly the way they need to be addressed. Because this strikes, I guarantee you, this woman walked away going, I better do something. Right? We have to strike fear into whatever's left of the hearts of our public servants. This is how you do it without going, beyond civilized. Let's put it that way.
This officer here asked him to have a very intelligent conversation with him about what it is that was going on. Very intelligent conversation, and it took a couple hours for that to go viral, and for everybody to start talking about what it is they were going to do and everything like that. Whether or not you understand it, there are people like myself who have their hands on the reins. I came up here to talk to you and to you, so that those hands could still be on those reins. Now, if you think for one fucking second that I'm going to sit here and still keep that same demeanor while you're kicking folks out and telling them you're not going to speak and bring the damn turtles in here to start pushing people out, you got another thing coming. I promise you, as green as your guys are, and as seasoned as a couple of your guys are, my guys are that much more seasoned. Let's not do that. Give people the opportunity to speak. I understand you want to be respectful. That's cool. It's not a bad request. Give people the opportunity to speak. And you, man, if you don't get your hands around some of these guys' throats and yank them the hell off of other people, everything that happens is going to fall on him, but the majority of that responsibility rests on your shoulders. Make no mistake about it. When everything is written, when everything is done, everybody's going to look at you and say, why the hell didn't you act? The guy that you have suspended for whatever unknown amount of days, fire him. He's a shitbag. And it's obvious. It's not something that anybody has to guess at. You don't have to wait for anything. I'm going to shut up and walk away. But to give you a preview of what it is that we're coming after next, okay? Very soon, next couple of months, and I expect you to do everything you can to approve it. We're going to make it so that if your officers engage anybody without a body camera, they're to be reprimanded, fired. If your officers pull up on anybody else without their dash cam on for whatever reason, I don't care if he wants to check on and ask the guy if he's got tickets to the game. If he pulls up on the guy without his damn dash cam on, get rid of his ass. You know why? Because that's accountability. And when you don't have accountability, you have people that run wild. Hold your men accountable before something bad happens, because nobody here is in the mindset of letting them get beat the hell up, shot, or anything else, because I ain't gonna do it. I promise you that. The last, or the time that happened, on 222nd, you had 2 of your officers follow me home. 2 of them. I don't give a shit. I carry, and I'm probably a better shot than they are. So I'm not gonna have it. You run up on me or mine with some bullshit, and listen, if I got caught doing something I have no business doing, I have no problem. I go through the process. It is what it is. Okay? I'm not saying take your hands off people when they've done something wrong. I'm not saying that. But quit putting hands on people that haven't. Because in case y'all didn't know, an unlawful arrest is the same thing as assault. You have the right to defend yourself and defend yourself vigorously from any assault, from any person. That's self-preservation.
Yes, sir.
Put your people in check. Not next month, not a little while from today.
What about this officer that's still on the street who killed Luke Stewart?
Easy. And I'm glad you said that. This guy's a former Marine. I know some Marines. Okay? It's not that. It's not just that. Hell, I was trained to kill. I don't run around finding people to beat the hell up on. I don't run around finding targets to shoot. But let me tell you what I saw this guy doing. He shoots a guy. He's taking his... I know not one damn combat Marine ever, one combat soldier ever, who acts like that even after firing their weapon. Unless they done some shit they have no business doing. Amen. You take that to anybody to analyze that man's state of mind, I promise you, you find any professional.
But the chief cleared him.
Any professional that you want, and they will tell you that man's scared. And he's not scared because he had to defend himself.
The other officer said,
hell, we have a joke. What's the first thing you feel when you pull the trigger? Recoil. We have a joke that goes like that. He wasn't scared because he had to take a man's life in self-defense. He was scared because he knew he fucked up and he was wondering if he was going to get caught.
Right. Well, none of her son. That's why
you take that to anybody you want to have that tape analyzed. Okay? Anybody you want to. And they're going to tell you the same thing.
Why didn't they analyze it already?
The same thing. It's not that nobody wants this to become violent. I'm a man who has had to be violent. I don't want this to become violent. My family lives here. I have friends that come here. I have friends that live here. I don't want this to become violent. But it will. It will. We got to do something, man. We got to do something. Let's get it done. Let's get it done.
These people love Euclid. You know what I mean? All these people here love Euclid. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't you take this and destroy it?
Will the Justice Department investigate this?
She's showing it.
You see that bruise on Luke's face? You see that bruise on Luke's face? This insinuates Luke was beat. I'm going to go back to this page right here. This is his autopsy, 2 pages, just the front 2. Which shows that he had minor blunt force injuries. I'm going to flip over to the next page, where it says, on arrival, officers approached the vehicle and observed the driver, later identified as said Luke Orlando Stewart, at 18206. I won't go over our address, apparently asleep in the driver's seat. Officers attempted to wake this man and said Luke Orlando Stewart woke and attempted to flee. You have an officer who, one, did not cut on his blue and red lights, just the white light. They're in navy blue with a skull cap on. You don't know if it's somebody trying to rob you or what's going on. We're going to keep coming here and we're going to keep fighting until that officer is taken off the street. Right now, we're not asking that he be fired, but we are asking that he be off the streets immediately, pending this investigation. Absolutely. It's a smack in the face and a kick in the ass to have him out here. You acted kind of swiftly with the Hubbard case. However, after all his infractions, he still has his job. One would ask you, Mayor, what does it take to get fired at Euclid Police Station?
We're going to stop right there. That's the question. But we need more of those people confronting our police officers and our mayors, our city council members, our governors, whoever they are. That's what you do. I love everything that man said. Everything. Down to, I don't want this to get violent, but it will. If I have to defend myself against a corrupt cop. And Donald Trump just decided to rescind the Obama-era order allowing police departments to purchase weapons from our military. So the police departments, which are infiltrated with white supremacist racist assholes, are all excited again because they get to go military shopping for shit like grenade launchers, which are on the list. I see cops in my town running around with grenade launchers. I'm going to go get weapons. I don't understand why we need to do this, but our government wants to escalate this into an all-out just bloodbath. Our cops are being enabled to do it. No one is policing the police. And we have to start. And that's what that man was saying. And what I liked before he talked about divine, he said, we are going to bring forth some rules. We're going to change it to make it so that your cops have to get fired if they don't turn on their body cams, if they don't do their fucking job, if they don't hold themselves accountable. Why is it that our police force, the people that are supposed to protect and serve, don't hold themselves accountable? Yet we as citizens have to be held accountable if we're carrying more than a dime bag of weed. Oh shit, my God, you got to be held accountable for that. I killed a boy. I get to keep my job. Fucking cops. Just zero fucking respect these days. Zero. Love the way that man spoke to that mayor. We are headed for we're at a boiling point. I don't know how we de-escalate without overtaking. That seems to be the problem. How do we de-escalate without overtaking? We have to use government. We got to work fast because that government's falling apart. That government's going to fall apart even faster as more natural catastrophes affect us. What kind of government do you think Texas is going to have right now? Or local governments down in those areas, you know? And it's just frightening, everything that's going on. I really didn't think that we were this. It just, in the last couple of years, even before Bernie Sanders, you know, I was joking about the United States kind of falling down. You know, yeah, our education is not as good, and this isn't as good, but like it's falling apart fast as climate change is escalating. Our demise is escalating. It's really frightening. It's really it's just and we're facing such an ugly. The worst part is we're facing such an ugly enemy, and we're not really sure who it is when it comes to the individuals in our towns and cities, and we're ill-equipped to deal with it. I'm ill-equipped to deal with it because I just want to resort to apeness. You know. It's a frustrating situation. It's a frustrating situation. Sorry, Marcus, you're over there. You haven't had much chance to say shit today. I've just been all.
And honestly, I don't have anything to add because what can I say? What the people don't know already who are watching us, and what you already said, and it is horrible to see. Everything is horrible to see. The police, the floods. It is, yeah. And then you have Ted Cruz, who was responsible in Texas, and I think he was one of those who took care that that precautionary measures were cut in the budget, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and Ted Cruz was one of the ones that didn't want to support funds for Sandy, and there he is begging, and they got him on national news. We don't have to, hope you're not gonna have to remember. I mean, it's fucking. They're all hypocrites. They're all fucking hypocrites.
Yes, and I hope it will not come to the clash of the cultures now in America, because this I see the divide, and I hope we can come out of this, and that we find together, because this is the only solution. Otherwise, it ends very, very bad.
I agree. I mean, it's really weird. It's really weird being a frog in a pot, knowing that you're in the pot, not being able to get out of the pot, and unable to change the temperature, or at least not fast enough. So that's frustrating. It's weird. I'm trying to run this Hill thing, but all of the major online organizations, I think there's a tie here. Like advertising just gone off the charts. They do full screen pop-up ads whenever they want. They have music playing whenever they want. They just do whatever they want. Like any way to shove an ad in your face if you're on their site. The ones that don't like lock you down because they're charging you money and shit. The Hill is like that. I've never seen just so much advertising blasted everywhere. It reminds me of the early days of the internet, right? When every site just looked like a shitty porn hub and there was just crappy ads or there was no regulation. It's starting to look that way again because I think independent media is relying heavily on established media sources to amplify a truthful narrative, right? And so they're, whatever we can reap out of this, well, we'll just shove a bunch of ads in their face. I got Fred Meyer and Coors right here, just on this page alone, looking at the article we're going to talk about. Fred Meyer and Coors, America. Because one of the things that we're doing in this disaster is making sure that prices are high so that everybody can make as much money as possible off people's lives. But this is even worse than that. This is the audacity of racist assholes. Arpaio could challenge Flake in Arizona primary, and this is what Laura Livengood was mentioning this, and I didn't get it yet because I didn't think of who Flake was. Unbelievable that this racist shit stain would think about running for office. Who knows? With as fucked up as things are, he'd probably win. Can you imagine him representing any other human beings?
Yes.
Yeah, really?
His redneck racist Nazi fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the only group. Horror, pure horror. This guy.
It is. I can't believe it's. We've already reelected a bunch of war criminals and assholes, and now they're like, look, things are great. I just got pardoned. Now I'm going to run for office. Why not? In the land of corrupt America. How long do you think it'll be before some of these rich guys and these militias just start deciding to do what they want and coming and silencing loudmouth progressives? I don't think it'll take long, honestly. I think the breakdown is going to be nice and clean. We've already seen several incidences of the cops with the Charlotte where they just stood by. There's a white racist asshole. There was a video we played. He shot a gun into a crowd of people. If that had been a black person, that guy would have been riddled with holes and dead. Cops didn't do anything until somebody pressed, the ACLU was like, are you gonna do this? Guy shot at a black guy. He didn't shoot at his face. He aimed down at his feet. I mean, that's assault with a deadly weapon. And the guy has been arrested. He turned out to be a grand wizard fuck of some KKK group, Go figure. That's unbelievable. No, Arpaio was he was pardoned. Maybe he was convicted, but he was pardoned, which is interesting. Somebody noted that he was pardoned and his sentence was not commuted. So he admitted guilt. He's guilty of the crime. Doesn't matter. He can run for office because. Shouldn't we have laws against that? We would have to take power in order to enact laws. If you're a criminal ass fuck, you don't get to run for office anymore. No.
What is even more horrible than pardon Joe Arpaio is the fact, is the message behind all this, because this says everyone who is threatened by Miller to be in a hearing about Trump. Everyone who sticks to Trump and is and shows loyalty and denying to tell anything or to even lie to Miller would be pardoned if it comes out. This is the message, and this shows how much about the law Trump sees himself.
Yeah, he truly does. And now they're trying to push through something to squash the probe because they basically busted him all over the place with all sorts of shit going down between Russia. I don't even know what it means, all this back and forth and the stuff they're uncovering. It's big, right? But he and his corrupt insiders are working to thwart the FBI or thwart the Justice Department, actually, which is insane. It's insane that there would even be enough power in that branch of government to do that. You know, he has caused internal chaos within all of our systems. I think it's a good thing, but you know, like who's fighting for who is the question. I'm worried about who's fighting for who. Thanks for joining, Redneck. Bye, Red. Thanks for being here. Ellis Ray says, right on, Marcus.
I'm sorry?
Ellis Ray says, right on, Marcus.
Yeah.
Agrees with you.
Yeah, I think I said it all.
Yeah.
This is the real message, and very, very worrying. He says it shows he stands above the law. He sees himself above the law, and this is a pure authoritarian style. And it's a dictatorship. It's a quasi dictatorship he's building up. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. And there was I want to say his name was Roger Stone, but I may have that name wrong. There was somebody over the weekend that was basically said something to the effect of, if you try to impeach Trump, there will be an armed incursion.
Roger Stone.
Was it Roger Stone?
Paul Manafort.
Okay.
They worked together for a long time.
Yeah. I thought I had that article. That's that's frightening. But yes. I encourage it. I want all 250, 300 militia groups of morons to rise up so that we can identify you and remove you. Good luck. Because you got about 350 million Americans that would be pissed. And even if I had to get out my lawnmower to run over you, I'd do it. Whatever it took. You know, I got a pitchfork. I got an actual pitchfork. I don't have a torch, but I could get my actual pitchfork out. I am a farmer. Right? I got no problem. Come on, militia guys. I know we got some in the in my rural area, right down the road. Break out your beer and your 45s and whatnot, and let's find out who you are, because we need to eliminate you.
And the bizarre tragedy about all this is that in the end, it doesn't matter, because the people who profit from this are always the same, you know? It is a charade. It is a pure charade to fire up people to fight each other, you know?
It is.
They are busy, and the dollar is still rolling.
I know.
It doesn't make no difference for them.
I know, but we still have to squish it. You can't. The movement, because right now, I see it at a very scary point. We're at a very scary point that with the disaster, with everything else, the Nazi movement could grow. Be like, oh, let's band together and fuck everybody else and run. You know, it really has a chance to take big wings. It's already got big wings with asshole, but now it really could grow, and we need to squish it now before it can get any more strength. You know.
I think it was a good sign what we saw in, I think it was in Boston or San Francisco. I think it was San Francisco, where the Nazi march or event was prevented by protesters. And this is what I said, and this is where I absolutely not agree with Cenk Uygur when he says we should let them march and don't look after them and just let them go. I think, no, we got to stand on the streets and prevent them marching. We got to show our color, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's true. Thank you for mentioning that. Because while I'm all over that guy and what he was saying to the mayor and his version of knocking things down, in terms of getting rid of a bunch of Nazi fucks that are on the street being Nazi fucks, I like the San Francisco and Boston approach. That was great, right? It reminds me of some of that German stuff, right? It's just kind of that. Let's make fun of these guys. Let's do this in a way where they really are caught off guard and have to think about they're stupid, you know.
I don't know if this level. I don't think this level would work in America, because it is now with weapons and with the temperaments. The boiling blood everywhere. It is a little bit. I think it is very different to Germany. You know.
True, but you know what? I was thinking about that. How do we make it more pertinent to Americans? So I had this idea.
Yes.
Right. For every so we have to do the same kind of exchange that they did with the march for for every however feet you get money. Money that goes to a cause.
Yes.
But the cause would be for every dollar or every foot or whatever you market, a gun would be melted down and recycled. All right. So,
or it would be, I think there's an idea coming up. What about a live stream when the March of the Right-Wing Idiot is covered for 2 or 3 hours, connected with a fundraiser, you know?
Right.
This would be a funny idea, And on the internet, I mean not us, but if anyone would like to organize a TYT or so, this would a nice thing, I think, and it would bring a lot of money for good project which serves the people,
Oh my God! So actually, that's a great idea. Like, actually film the get camera footage of them marching, right?
Yes.
Put it to some fun parade music, like some good stuff from the Rose Parade in California or the Macy's Parade. So it kind of seems more like a fun parade. And then do I love that. Do a fundraiser. Maybe we pick the music to go behind their marching. And we do a fundraiser for that. And then the money, which by the way, I think we now have a method down. It would be a little more tedious, but it can be done so that we can verify every single piece we play, unlike the Eclipse. It'll take Markus's efforts, but we could do that. Would you guys want to do a streamathon fundraiser for, I don't know, would it be anti-Nazi efforts or anti-gun efforts? Or
we only would need one guy who is walking next to them, because we would need a counter somehow, that we know how many steps they did, and we could say one step $1 or 50 cents or something like this. I don't know.
We need a reporter on the ground. The way to make this great. So we don't have the resources to do this, and he's probably not going to talk to me. Jordan Sheraton or Tim Black or somebody who's out there on the street who can really go out there, go to one of these things, and just be that kind of a person. So you're marching today. I just wanted to get your opinion. Really want to thank you for every step you take. Another $1 gets donated to the Fuck You Stupid Nazi Fund. Yeah, thank you so much. And just be really calm and nice about it, and go around and interview people. That's what we need. That's what we need. Shit. I'd love to do that. I don't. Let's find when the next march is going to be around the country. I'm sure there's one coming up soon. Probably not anywhere in the Gulf. And let's see if we can't get a remote work with somebody out there. If any of you know about a KKK happening in your area, please let us know.
But bring yourself not into danger, of course.
Right. We don't want that.
This is my concern.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You think playing porno sounds would be a great idea? Stock, you guys. All right. By the way, Eco, I have an innovation. I hope this counts it's a food innovation. It's gross, but it's a food innovation. Crap. Hang on. Man, I did terrible with the slides there. The media, really bad. Here. This. Hang on. It's a food site that wants to know if I want to get breaking news in the food world. Really? All right. This is just to read this here. Insect burgers and energy storage trains, the best green innovations of the week. All right, so I just went out and found a green innovations thing, but the story I was interested in was the burgers. Let's go down to the burgers. Where are my burgers? Where's the friggin' burgers? Right here. Okay. So those are the burgers. Do you want flies with that? Is that a great headline? Can you even see that? You can't even see the headline. Hang on. There's the headline. Do you want flies with that? It's like one I'd come up with. So diets can have big impact on emissions. And numerous studies have called for reduction in meat and dairy consumption. Everybody's always telling me, stop eating meat and cowspiracy. And I agree with the idea that we need to change the way we treat animals in general, because we are horrific with them. And I don't believe that cutting out meat is going to save the planet. I do believe that we eat way too much meat. Right? And that has been something that Americans eat way too much meat. Let me clarify. I think Americans eat way too much meat. I don't know about the rest of the world. Maybe the rest of the world does too. Who knows? All right. And Germans got their bratwurst and shit. And, anyway. And what's that other stuff that you guys? You guys, it's another. I can't even think of it. We'll talk about German food later. I love German food, by the way. Anyway. I love Germans and German food. It's so nice. No, sorry. That's Trump coming out in a minute. Anyway, in an effort to find a more sustainable source of protein, Switzerland has taken a bold step. So this is Switzerland. Anybody want to know? You can get a mealworm burger. That's what that is in Switzerland. Earlier this year, the nation became the first European country to allow the sale of insect-based foods for human consumption. Swiss supermarket Coop has introduced a new range of burgers and balls because they do a lot of meatballs, right? Swedish meatballs. So when they say balls, they're not trying to be like porny and weird. That's meatballs. You know, you go to IKEA and they got fucking meatballs. You can get meatballs in IKEA. It's really weird. And if you ever watch The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the original movie, they eat balls and just like normal. It's like weird. You don't see that in American shows. Anyway, they're made from mealworms. That's the important part, made from mealworms. Developed by a Swiss startup Essento, with support from Europe's largest climate innovation platform, Climate Kick, or KLC. The new products have been designed to highlight more resource and environmentally friendly ways to source animal protein. Insect foods are already a delicacy in other continents, and finally making inroads to Europe. I'm not excited about that at all. I mean, I'm just not a big fan of eating bugs. I will do so if I have to. Marcus, your thoughts on eating bugs?
No, not today. No. I will have a normal dinner. No, and not in the foreseeable future. But I can imagine. Yes, I heard there are reports that that insects have a lot of protein, and it would solve a good piece of world hunger. You know, if industrialized. You know.
Agreed. And then I'm waiting for the people for the ethical treatment of insects to arrive. Because then we'll have a whole nother. But anyway, the mass production of insects simply so they could be turned into burgers. It's horrific. I'm only partially joking, right? I'm only partially joking. It's we have the problem of an increasing population, a huge population increase, and we don't have the food to sustain us. Really, we should have figured out much better farming techniques quite some time ago, or been off planet quite some time ago for the amount of people that we have. But we were too busy beating up on each other over stupid shit, right? So, I mean, seriously, this bug's for you. Bugweiser. That's awesome. Budweiser's first. I mean, I don't even know what they would do with insect beer and how that would help, but that's awesome. And Melissa H., she said back here, I know we're late now. I had no intention of being late, but why the fuck not? What did you say? Melissa said I needed to. Here, uphill, John, you really need to read the facts about how much meat production pollutes wastewater and blah. I'm well aware. I talked to Tom Fegan, and I know what Iowa's doing right now. We need to stop industrialized animal farming. Right? If we reverted to the way they farmed in the Middle Ages, this would not be a problem. And the people in England in the Middle Ages knew exactly how to farm. Pigs were allowed to roam a large enough area of land that they actually were the rototillers. Right? Not only did they fertilize the ground, but they turned up the soil. Right? And that's important. Right? We don't do that today. We stick them in a pen, run around in their own shit, and say, oh, God, they like to walk in their own shit. Not really. Pigs have no problem being out in the free if we allow them the space to do so. That was Middle Ages farming. Community-based farming, where we get back to a group of people in a small enough area that is self-supportive with their own meats, their own products, whatever. Maybe, you know, however a business needs to evolve around that, that's fine. But people first, environment first, business last. Fuck your businesses. Right? That's really the paradigm. That's how we have to shift. Everybody can eat meat if we're all responsible about how it's produced and how we deal with the waste. That's what it comes down to for everything on this planet. If we could figure out a way to make fossil fuel cars awesome and fossil fuel actually work clean, which it doesn't because scientifically we know it doesn't, we'd still use it. We just don't. We don't have a way. It can't be done. Right? But look at what science has done. Coal still will never be clean, and coal is still a fossil fuel that sucks. However, in our desire to do better with the product, we have come up with ways to take coal byproducts, the coal ash and the bullshit that comes out of it, and turn it into products that are useful. So, and trap CO2. So it's not like they're we know what we need to do here. We know that we need to work in harmony with our planet. That's really what it comes down to, being in harmony with the planet. That and if eating bug burgers is how we do it, then great. I think everything has a balance. I'm still going to want to eat a steak every once in a while, and maybe I'll get used to eating, bug balls. Maybe.
with a lot of ketchup.
Yes, with a lot of ketchup. If they're in the Swedish meatball sauce with the, I like Swedish meatballs, and if they taste like fucking Swedish meatballs, I'm all over it. It's fine, I mean, I've eaten cowball balls, the real ball, whatever. Why not eat bug ones? Which would you think is gross? More gross, cow testicles or bug balls?
I would like to have a bratwurst, please.
Well, your bratwurst could be made of assholes and lips. I mean, that's, a whole nother thing. But anyway.
I've ketchup ready.
You have ketchup. Ketchup solves the problem. Heinz, Germans. Or is she Austrian? Every time I think it's German, it turns out to be fucking Austrian.
I don't know.
Anyway. Eco says, John, have you tried the almost burger yet? No, I have not. Is that I like the Boca stuff and those burgers? I haven't gone down that road. Ex-wife number 2 tried the vegan route for a while. I'm a meat eater, but because of where we live, because of the amount of bounty of food that I have on this property, and my personal goal of trying to use it all, which is failing miserably, I'm learning to cook a whole bunch of other stuff, right? And cook with less meat and more of the stuff I have available, right? And I'm getting more meat from my farmer friends. Like neighbor Dave likes to go get real salmon and then smoke it. And so, yay, right? And he's growing a pig on his own. Some of my deadfall goes to raise that pig that eventually I'll get a piece of. Right? That's where it should go back to. And we need to readjust. Industry is going to need to adjust. Industry is going to need to downsize in order to allow for the planet to survive. And that is what we are fighting. We are fighting industry's own greed, even though the people running those industries will kill themselves with their own greed. That's what we're fighting. Eco says you can't tell it's not meat, the almost burger. All right, I will look into that. If Indians can turn Anthony Bourdain and Gordon Ramsay vegetarian for a while, then they can change anyone. Did they really get I've never heard of Bourdain going I've never heard of him being vegetarian for a while. Was it because he had no choice? I'll have to research that. I'll have to look that up. All right. Marcus, thank you for hanging in here today. I know it was really weird.
No, it was interesting, but it was, of course, not the nicest show regarding the circumstances, of course.
No, Harvey's horrific. I mean, if you guys can donate, do what you can, anything. If you're in the area, most of us can't do anything other than offer our thoughts and prayers if you want to. Just remember they're the same. But this is a natural. This is a catastrophe. This is what we have feared, and there's going to be more. I don't know where all these people are going to go. Even Joel doesn't have enough room. Kevin, I've killed, cleaned, and gutted animals since you eat. I still eat meat. Yeah, I mean, I think that's something we should all have to go through to understand and respect what we've got. Right? The value of life, the value of a piece of meat that was life. That's all Native American shit. Like, I remember being a kid being told, well, this is the way the Native Americans believed and lived. And I'm like, well, what's wrong with that? Well, we're Americans. We don't believe in that. It's too bad. We got to get back to that. Lynn Vermont says 49.92 inches of rainfall. That's insane. I know that's a record. Where is that, Lynn? Is that a particular place? 49.32. Yeah. Melissa H says, yes, if you can't kill it, don't eat it, like me. Oh, I'd be so fucked. I'm a hypocrite with that. If I got to follow those rules, yeah, I don't know. I'd probably be eating more insect burgers. These grubs are good. How about you, Marcus?
Yeah, wonderful.
You've got ketchup. Everybody. Oh, Houston is 50 inches of rain. Yeah. That's ridiculous. So we're going out with, I don't know, a song from the music box because I couldn't find anything that worked. And I was just scrolling through, and Marcus has all these great selections. You got to understand how much time Marcus puts into this, right? He's gone through and done, the meticulous spreadsheet work where I can look at songs, I can sort them different ways and pick something that fits. And I thought this fit. I've never heard of this group. They're
Skunkanansi.
Yeah, how are they pronounced? How's it pronounced?
Skunkanansi.
Skunkanansi.
Yes, and they're coming from the UK, and the song we are listening to is from their first album from 1995, Paranoid and Sunburned, and yeah, it is. I think it refers to a topic we had today in our show about this guy, this Christian guy who denied to open his gates of his giant church to the people, and how Christianity works, and the name of the song is Selling Jesus, and I think John has something to add.
Well, it just seemed to fit. Fit the name. I was just going through, I'm like, yeah, Joel Osteen, fucker. Because he's just, I mean, Marcus, I don't know if there's anybody like this in Germany or if they don't allow that bullshit, but you and I grew up watching the idiots like Benny Hinn and all these other, I can't even say Falwell and all that. They're just all a bunch of hucksters making money, and it's just depressing that we're still there. Hasn't changed. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. And we will see you tomorrow, not in the morning, but tomorrow evening for We the People with Michael Bracamontes, who's running for governor of California, along with a whole gaggle of other people. And we're going to find out why we want to vote for Michael above everybody else, other than the fact that he's not a corporate stooge. But anyway, here we go. Skunk and Easy, Selling Jesus.
Kill me with your smelly fingers from the sex you had on Christmas Day. And now you say you're feeling guilty. You're feeling guilty cause your God was shining on your face. You go to church and light a candle, and then you're blinded by the light from all the golden views. The devil's snapping at your toes now, because the angels can't be bothered to live up to you. They're selling Jesus again. They're selling Jesus again. They want your soul and your money, your blood and your bones. They're selling Jesus again. Selling love to you. Selling love. You're buying this, you're buying that now. You're wishing all the money in the world belonged to you. You crucified upon